Okay, like I said yesterday, videos like these are very dangerous to make. Because if there is a trade done with this player before this video is uploaded, because I do pre-record these the night beforehand, then this is ultimately the worst case scenario because I'll be talking about somebody going from one team to another even though he might have already gotten sent somewhere else. Either way though, it is the morning of the NHL Draft. I want to say, first and foremost, we will be doing a stream for the entire event. That has been the yearly tradition. That has been the one and only stream that I am very excited to do every single year. And of course, we're going to continue doing that this season. That will start out at 3 p.m. PST, so get involved in the chat. We'll be here for the pre-game, or not the pre-game, the pre-draft, and then hopefully stick around for the entire program. But what I wanted to do in this video was talk instead about a guy who made himself known as one of the top players in the NHL this season when he won the Norris a few days ago. We're talking about San Jose Sharks defenseman Erik Karlsson. Because even though Karlsson is in a position where he had just gotten this record-breaking, just generational season, I mean, when was the last time we had seen a defenseman score 100 points in a year? It was 30 years ago. That's literally like 2 or 3 generations worth of time in hockey language. So there you go, a generational season out of Erik Karlsson. He has been involved in trade rumors because the San Jose Sharks now have themselves a lot more value attached to this asset. They're still in some sort of a retool, rebuild-esque type of situation, and because Karlsson is not necessarily young, it doesn't really benefit them to hold on to him for the long term. So, seeing what they could get, salary retained or not, Erik Karlsson is going to be a valuable player on the market, and we had ourselves an article from Sheng Peng going over Karlsson's open-mindedness about where he wants to get traded to. This article will be linked in the description, but the main meat and potatoes of this piece comes after the main headline. Karlsson open-minded about where he gets traded, but he would go back to the Sens. Take a look at what Peng writes about when it comes to Erik Karlsson and his former team in Ottawa. The article opens up talking about how time is running out. I've played with too many guys throughout my career, amazing players, and should be winners, and should have won, that never did. I don't want to be that guy, but I want to win. That's not going to say I'm going to win, right? I want an opportunity to win. If that opportunity is not in San Jose right now, within my timeline, that's just the unfortunate part of the business. That's not to say I don't like it here, that they don't want me there, that we don't want this to work. It's just, that's the way it is. It makes sense for both parties. And so Karlsson himself, verbatim on the awards ceremony interview stage, says that pretty much there's a very good possibility that the Sharks and him, they're not aligned in where their timelines are. This may result in a trade, it may not. But it's not from a place of discontentment. It's just, hey, we just don't align. We're not looking for similar things here. We gotta separate and go our own ways, find new people. Yeah, I'm making this into a funny dating analogy, but either way, if you go over to the written part in this piece about Ottawa, this is where Peng gets into the history. There's a tweet included where Erik Karlsson says he loves Mark Stone. I always knew he was going to be great. From when he came in Ottawa, I knew he was going to be a winner. I had dinner with him in March and the guy could barely walk. I was like, how are you going to play? And he's like, I'll be fine. This is where the article gets into the Ottawa Senators situation because, of course, there's a link there. Karlsson talks about how he's very open-minded and how he doesn't have a preferred destination on where he would be interested in getting traded to. There are so many teams right now. Like, you just have to make the playoffs and you have a chance to win. Look at Florida. Karlsson even told Swedish reporters here that he was open to returning to the Senators, who haven't made the postseason since he led them to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2017. But unlike the Sharks, the Sens have a bevy of young NHL-ready stars on the roster and are seen as a clear team on the rise. And of course, Karlsson, who flew into Nashville from Ottawa, still has a home there. And because of this, we have ourselves a bunch of discourse going out there saying, hey, Ottawa, this could be a thing. Karlsson back to the Sens. Is this a worthwhile idea? Is it not? Is it something that we think should be thought about? In fact, if you go over onto betonline.ag's social media, you'll see that their betting odds at the moment have Erik Karlsson going to Ottawa as the most likely scenario. They have the Oilers, the Panthers, the Kraken, the Sabres all there too, but the Sens have the best odds. Or not the best odds, but the most common odds. Now, of course, I'm not going to go out there and say that a betting website putting Ottawa as their number one choice means anything in particular. It's just, this is sort of how they're getting views out there. This is the perception of how the situation is unfolding. We know that betting websites like to place bets that they feel people will be inclined to bet on. Because it's interesting, because it's an idea worth talking about, because it's what people feel is going to happen. Who knows if Erik Karlsson is going to go to Ottawa? But the idea of that is a very intriguing one, and so for bettors to go out there and see that on a website like BetOnline, they could be like, yeah, okay, that's a cool idea, let's place some money on that. If it happens, then okay, they get their payouts, but if it doesn't happen, which it's probably not likely to, I mean, it's a plus 200 after all, nothing's guaranteed in this world, then guess what, the betting website just made some money. That's kind of how they get you, isn't it? So the idea of Karlsson heading back over to Ottawa is interesting because he is a guy that would definitely add some fan service to the way the team is assembled. I'm not going to go out there and say this is a necessity. Even Sean Simpson went out there and said it makes 0 sense on every level, but the replies are all kind of contradictory to the entire idea of reason. Brian replies saying, not on an emotional level, his leaving the way it happened was heartbreaking. Chris Sinclair goes out there and says that Sens fans miss this guy. I do too, and I'm sure that the Sens inquired, but it doesn't make sense. Their top 4D are set and they look great, it's not the time to be making such a deal. Even though it doesn't really make any sense, a lot of Sens fans are saying the same thing. Darn it, man, I want this to happen because I'm emotional about it. And at the end of the day, when it comes to sports, you know, we love to analyze the numbers, we talk about the betting lines, the money lines, the puck lines. We talk about the goal lines. We talk about the first line. We talk about the second line. We talk about all the nitty-gritty numbers. And it all boils down to how we feel. That's why we watch sports. It's emotional. And so seeing a lot of Sens fans go out there say they want this to happen, I mean, it makes sense. Like, of course, people are going to want to say that Karlsson going back to Ottawa would be cool. Even TSN 1200 did a poll. If the Sens acquired Karlsson, what has to happen? You only have 44% of the people saying don't bother. The rest are saying they would either have a third team involved or send over a big money defenseman. Like, the fact that 50% plus of the TSN 1200 fanbase, which is all Ottawa based by the way, is going out there and saying that they would have to do something like this, they wouldn't just say no. That kind of indicates where this fan base is with this player, and rightfully so. Erik Karlsson just bounced back. He had a 100-point season. If he gets traded with salary retained, he's not going to be the $11.5 million behemoth on your salary cap. And even if he is, it's not like this is a guy that is not worth significant money. He's proven from this season that he still has what it takes to be a top-producing defenseman, and one of the best, if not the best, in the entire NHL. Sure, he's 33 years old, and the contract goes on till he's, 37? But still, if you retain salary, if you're getting like 80, 90 points out of a guy who's making $8 million a year, that's pretty okay. And for the Senators, it's not necessarily like Erik Karlsson going back to your team would be a huge detriment. You'd still get the good play, and you'd still have the growth from all the other younger guys on the team. So, it's an interesting enough idea to make a YouTube video about. Of course, if this video is completely invalidated because Karlsson gets traded before the video is published on YouTube and made public, then okay, then my bad. We'll wake up early tomorrow because the NHL Draft is underway. But either way, you can let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. What are your opinions about the idea of Erik Karlsson coming back to the Ottawa Senators? How it's apparently the most likely outcome. How it's one he would not be opposed to. What do you think it would take in order for Ottawa to get Karlsson from the San Jose Sharks? And if you're a Sharks fan, what do you want from Ottawa to facilitate this deal? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Juraj 99 and bye.